Osteoporosis is diagnosed when the T-score lies more than minus 2.5. And the fourth category is the severe osteoporosis, when there is the indication of T-score minus 2.2 and there is another clinically apparent fracture, osteoporosis-related fracture. The treatment of osteoporosis aims to strengthen bones, and the pharmacological treatment for osteoporosis should be considered when T-score is lower minus 2.5, as well as when the T-score lies between minus 1 and minus 2.5, and the 10-year probability of the FRAX tool indicates that there is a 3% of chance to have a hip fracture, as well as osteoporosis-related fracture for more than 20% in any body segment. So the situation in Armenia, actually, there's a scarce data regarding the osteoporosis and osteoporosis-related fractures in Armenia. From 2006 and 2009, according to International Osteoporosis Foundation report, there were 4,162 persons who were examined for bone mineral density, out of which 3,980 were women and 182 men. And the osteoporosis was detected in 32%, and low bone mass, which is the same as I said before, osteopenia in 40% of these people. And according to another report from the National Institute of Health in 2014, there were 3,418 patients in Armenia with osteoporosis. Unfortunately, we don't have any data whether how many women and what were the percents accordingly. To our knowledge, there were no studies conducted about osteoporosis and osteoporosis in Armenia. And there are no general programs for general public to raise awareness about osteoporosis, to make them more knowledgeable. So far, during the research, I found only that in 2014 there was a day against osteoporosis to raise awareness among the public. For the past 10 years, there have been conducted symposia in Armenia, at AUA as well, for the physicians particularly, and now there are available 10 bone densitometers in Armenia for the diagnosis of osteoporosis. So the conceptual framework I intend to follow for this study is the health belief model. So it explores the perceived susceptibility and severity which are related to osteoporosis health behaviors. And according to the Blitz review, there is a apparent link between beliefs and osteoporosis, because the people who accept them as who believe that they are not prone to osteoporosis, they don't have these preventive behaviors. As well as there is literature suggests that the lower knowledge about osteoporosis suggests risky behaviors. So there are a few factors which influence knowledge, for example, like socio-demographic factors, educational level, those who are less educated have less knowledge, gender. Usually women, especially middle-aged women, have more knowledge about osteoporosis, as well as presence or absence of relatives with osteoporosis increases the knowledge level. So to understand, to research, investigate these issues, these are the following primary research questions. What are the knowledge, beliefs, and practice scores about osteoporosis among the general population in Yerevan and Gyumri? And what is the relationship between osteoporosis practice and osteoporosis knowledge and beliefs among general population in Yerevan and Gyumri after adjusting for other risk factors? This is a cross-sectional household survey, and those who are citizens in Yerevan and Gyumri and age 18 will be included in the study, as well as those who speak Armenian. All the healthcare providers will be excluded from the study because the previous studies show that they deviate the results and the knowledge level from the general population. What's going on there? This study utilizes simple random sampling technique, and the sampling frame will be taken from a Republic of Armenia election list, and the random ID numbers will be allocated to the participants. And for example, participants, those who are from Yerevan, will be coded as 1 and have their subsequent ID number, and those who are from Gyumri 2 and their subsequent ID number. The sample size was calculated based on sample size for 2 groups, unequal sample sizes. So the parameters are taken from the literature, previous studies. And so we had, for Gyumri, the sample size is 81, and for Yerevan is 162, based on the previous studies conducted in CHSR household surveys, The 70% response rate was taken, and the actual final sample size is 347. So there are three main independent variables for the study. This includes calcium intake behaviors, physical activity practices, and smoking. The other independent variables include knowledge score and perceived susceptibility, severity, and benefits and barriers of calcium intake, physical activity, social demographic, and other characteristics. All of the instruments used in the study were translated from into Armenian and adapted, as well as they will be pre-tested before the actual study takes part. To understand the calcium intake behaviors, rapid assessment for calcium intake questionnaire will be used, which has 6 categories, and it's calculated through calcium intake is calculated through counting the servings, and it's a 7-day recall questionnaire. International Physical Activity Questionnaire will be used trying to assess the level of the physical activity. It's a well-validated tool worldwide. It's just short and long versions. Long version is usually used for the research purposes. That's why it's been included in this as an instrument for the study, and it has 5 domains. The other instrument is osteoporosis knowledge test. This is a validated tool which was developed in 1991, and it was revised and validated again in 2012 and 2012. It has 32 items, which include about nutrition and exercises, and the osteoporosis health belief scale, which has the 7 domains from the health belief model. So for the analysis, data entry will be done to ensure the accuracy of data. Descriptive statistics will be around for all of the variables in the study. Multiple linear and logistic regression, because one of the variables is continuous and the other two are continuous, one other is binary variable. And after the logistic regression, adjustment for the confounders and will be done, and we'll check for the collinearity. So the budget of the study comprises the personnel, operational, travel costs, as well as accommodation, including meals. So the budget comprises 3,990,000 Armenian drams. The timeline, we plan to conduct the study in 3 months. So this includes 2 weeks of preparation and pre-testing of the questionnaire. There will be a week for the interview training, data collection, and the data entry training will take place as well, 1 week. Data analysis and the final 3 weeks will take for the final report. The oral consent form will be obtained for the study participants, and the questionnaires will be identified with the IDs, and the study protocol satisfies AUA IRB requirements. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vahe. I have a question about the treatment. You mentioned that there is pharmacological treatment for osteoporosis. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering if it really treats osteoporosis or it just stops the further deterioration, how it works.
Yes, it does. Actually, if a T-score, for example, was minus 2.5, maybe treatment after a year, it would increase, meaning it would be, for
so example, it would reverse
-1.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I was wondering if risk assessment is also considered a sort of preventive practice.
Yes, it is.
I mean, then why would you consider including it in your questionnaire, perhaps? Or you did? Maybe I missed it. I thought you included like risk assessment as another practice.
Yeah, but risk assessment should be done from the physicians, particularly from the primary health care providers.
So they can go to a physician, right? And or I don't know, and have the assessment done in physician offices.
Okay. For example, if a person is 60 or 65 years old and experienced a fracture, and so for some reason they go to their GP. GP should know that they should have at least they should do a clinical risk assessment, or they should refer it to another professional for the clinical.
And do our physicians do that?
So far, as I'm sure no, because I checked with the also Department of Endocrinology. Many of them they don't deal with the osteoporosis, and even I know very very few physicians, endocrinologists. I'm not talking even about GPs who deal with the osteoporosis.
Or as any.
As a diseaser.
Thank you, Vahe, for very good presentation. I have just one question. Why you haven't tried to do it? At least piloting it with smaller sample. It is quite doable, it seems.
Because I was wondering from topic to topic, and I was not very responsive at the same time as well.
Okay.
Can you go back to your very, very first slide? I just want to point this out to you and to the
This one?
group. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why, how can you explain, I think there's just a misunderstanding here, I want to see if you see this. 54% of those women, of those people aged greater than 50, you have as osteoporosis and low bone mass.
Yeah.
But in the European Union, you have 5.5%. Same variables, same measures?
Oh yeah. This one is osteoporosis only.
Right.
This doesn't include osteoporosis.
Okay, thank you, because I wanted to just point that out. And I want to point out, and I have a question for you to, after I point something out, that so the 54% are people who are having T-scores less than negative 2.5, right?
Right.
And about 54% of the US population, that's 1 out of 2. So if you look to your left and look to your right, and if that percentage is common in Armenia, and we think it might be, then my question to you is, what do you recommend to your family and friends to do to not fall into this 54%? And could you also explain to the audience how easy it is to be tested for your bone density and what it costs?
Okay, so I will start from the end. So it would be very easy to test for your bone mineral density. It's just an X-ray machine which even automatically reports what your T-score. Basically, the physician doesn't have much to do with the diagnosing.